The glade was quieter than usual. Not silent, it never was, but softer. The kind of quiet that only came after a long, exhausting day. Most of the boys had already turned in, the fire burning low, embers glowing faintly against the dark. You sat just beyond the edge of it all, knees pulled to your chest, staring out toward the looming walls of the maze. You didn't hear him approach. "You'll catch a cold out here." Newt's voice was low, familiar, the kind that didn't startle, just settled. You glanced over your shoulder, a small smile tugging at your lips.
I thought you didn't believe in things like that.
He huffed quietly, stepping closer before lowering himself beside you in the grass. "Doesn't mean I can't pretend to care." There was a beat, comfortable but not quite. "Not tonight."
You've been avoiding me.
Newt stilled, just for a second. Subtle enough that most wouldn't notice. You did. "I haven't," he replied, but it lacked its usual certainty. You tilted your head watching him.
You have!
Another pause. Longer this time. The fire crackled behind them. "Been busy," he muttered. You let out a quiet breath, shaking your head.
You're second in command, Newt. You're always busy. That's never stopped you before.
That hit. He ran a hand through his hair, gaze fixed somewhere ahead. Anywhere but you. "Things are different."
Different how?
Silence stretched between you, thin and fragile. Finally he spoke, quieter than before. "You went into the maze."
I was with the others. It wasn't...
"You weren't supposed to." He cut in sharper than intended. You flinched, not from fear but from the shift in him. Newt noticed immediately. His expression softened, something regretful flickering through. "I know that," he added, more controlled. He stopped again, jaw tightening. You turned fully toward him now, searching his face.
You just what?
Another pause. Then, more honest than he'd been in a long time. "You didn't come back when you were meant to." Your chest tightened slightly. "I kept thinking," he exhaled, shaking his head. "Kept thinking I was going to have to go out there and find you." His voice dropped. "Or what was left." The words landed heavy between you. Your expression softened, something aching slipping through.
I made it back.
"Yeah, you did." But he still wasn't looking at you. That was the problem. You reached out before you could stop yourself, your fingers brushing lightly against his wrist. He froze. Just like that.
Newt, you don't get to shut me out because you were worried. That's not fair.
Newt swallowed, his gaze finally flickering down to where your hand rested against him. "I wasn't trying to be fair."
Then what were you trying to do?
He let out a quiet, humorless breath. "Trying not to make it worse." You frowned.
Worse for who?
That did it. Newt turned to you fully now, something unguarded finally breaking through the careful composure he wore like armor. "For me," he admitted. Soft, honest, a little rough around the edges. Your breath caught. "I don't..." He started, then stopped, like he was choosing whether to cross a line he couldn't uncross. "I don't do well with that sort of thing."
What sort of thing?
His eyes met yours then, steady despite everything else. Caring about someone this much. The world seemed to go very, very quiet. You didn't pull your hand away. "I tried to ignore it," he went on, quieter now. "Thought it'd pass. Everything usually does around here." A faint, almost self-deprecating smile touched his lips. Didn't, though. Your heart was racing now, but you held his gaze.
What are you saying?
He hesitated, just for a second. Then, that when you didn't come back, his voice dipped, softer, more vulnerable than you'd ever heard it. "It wasn't just another loss I was bracing for." Your fingers tightened slightly around his wrist. "It was you." The confession hung between you, fragile and real. Newt let out a slow breath, like he'd just handed over something important. "Suppose I'm doing a terrible job pretending I don't care." You shook your head, a small, disbelieving smile breaking through.
You're doing an awful job.
"Yeah," he murmured, figured. There was a pause, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was full. You shifted a little closer, your voice soft but certain.
Good.
That caught him off guard, his brows pulled together slightly. "Good?" You nodded, your gaze flicking briefly to his lips before returning to his eyes.
Because I don't want you to pretend.
Something in his expression changed then, something quieter, warmer. "Reckon that makes two of us." The distance between you suddenly felt very noticeable, very small. Your hand slid from his wrist to his hand, fingers brushing, hesitant for only a moment before lacing together. Newt looked down at your hands, then back up at you, like he was making sure this was real.
Still think I should have stayed away?
You asked softly. He shook his head immediately. No. A beat. Definitely not. You smiled, small but genuine. And then neither of you moved. Not for a second, not for two, until Newt shifted closer first, slow enough to give you time to pull away. You didn't. His free hand lifted, hesitating just slightly before resting gently against your cheek, thumb brushing softly along your skin. You leaned into his touch without thinking. That was all it took. The space between you disappeared. Slow, tentative at first, like you were both learning something new. And then his lips met yours. Warm, careful, real. For a moment everything else faded. The maze, the fear, the uncertainty. It was just him. Just this. Newt pulled back only slightly, resting his forehead against yours, his breath uneven but quieter than before. You make this place bearable. You smiled softly, eyes still closed. You make it feel like home. And this time, when he kissed you again, there was nothing hesitant about it.